Welcome to the fifth video of the Multimodal Development with OpenAI course. In the last video, we saw how we can send images to OpenAI models. In today's video, we are going to understand what is function calling, why is it needed, and how to implement it. We'll take a look at some code that automates the process of itemizing receipts from images. But the real focus will be on understanding the role of function calling. So let's get started. Why do we need function calling in the first place? Well, when dealing with complex tasks like interpreting and extracting data from images, it's not enough just to get a simple text response from AI. We need structured and precise outputs. This way, we can ensure that the data we get back is formatted and organized exactly as we need it. So let's look at some code here. I've asked OpenAI what is the full form of WHO. And if you look at system message, what I've asked is, you're a helpful assistant designed to output JSON. So the output format will be JSON, but we have not described what the JSON structure would look like. So every time that we run this particular prompt, we get a different kind of response. The first response is like this. The second response is like this. If we are trying to automate a complicated process like image to text conversion of a receipt, this is not what we want. We want a consistent formatted output. So let's look at our function calling code here. Here we have first converted the image to base 64 as we did in the last video. In this video, we are going to use function calling, right? So here I've defined a function call to itemize that receipt. Here the type is of function. This specifies that this will be a function call to OpenAI. The name of the function is itemize receipt, and the description of this is to itemize a receipt from image. This will basically tell OpenAI what it needs to do. It needs to take the receipt from the image and itemize it based on this particular structure. Now I've given it various parameters. These are the parameters which OpenAI or the LLM should return in JSON format. So I want these fields: name of the vendor, date of purchase, item list. So I have a list here which contains item list, name of item, price of item, quantity of item, category of item, and I've specified a few categories, right? And then uh, last field is payment method. Here I've described a few payment methods. If none of these are there, then it will specify others. Next, I'm creating a chat completions object. I've specified the model as GPT-4o mini. It is the latest and most cheapest one. I've described the system role as, if the image is a receipt, process the data. If it is not a receipt, ask for a receipt. Next, in the user role, I'm passing in the base 64 image. We saw this code in the last video. If you have doubts, please go ahead and watch the last video again. In tools, I've specified function call. In tools choice, I've selected auto to let it automatically choose from the tools available. And I've specified the temperature to be 0 to get deterministic output. And then I'm printing the response that I received from chat completion subject. As you can see here, this worked and we received the right response. But we want to view the response in JSON format. That's where I've converted it into JSON and printed it. As you can see, we received the right kind of response that we needed. We received vendor, we received items list, we received the quantity category, we received the payment method. Now, once we have everything in JSON format, we want to process this data. So for processing this data, we've used Pandas library and we loaded up an existing blank expenses CSV. As you can see here, it only contains headers. Now, in this particular code, what we are doing is we are extracting the JSON data from receipt. For each item in the receipt, we'll create a new row with the relevant details like date, vendor, item name, quantity, price, and category. If the CSV is empty, we'll just start with the fresh new data. Otherwise, we'll just append it. So once we have the new data, we append it to the CSV and then we finally save the new CSV on the disk. Let's do a quick recap. We first created a function called function call and we defined the structure of the JSON inside this function call object. We defined all the attributes that we wanted the LLM to return as part of the JSON inside this. And then we use function call inside the chat completions object under tools. That way, the LLM knows that it has to use this particular function when answering anything about this image. So that was it for function calling. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.